to another exciting episode of the classified case files of Theodore D. Bear.
I decided the next day that I would consult with a former colleague at the police precinct, after picking up my suit at the dry cleaners, of course, to see if they had any information they could give me relating to my case. As I walked in, I noticed that the entire department was running ragged with calls from people coming to make reports, as well as processing any lawbreakers that had been brought in recently. My former partner was busy at his desk taking statements from a couple of families who were standing around his desk. Judging by their frantic hand gestures and facial expressions, they seemed to be under a lot of duress. But as I looked around the room, all of the other citizens seemed to be giving reports in the same manner. I decided to make my way towards the break room and wait until my former colleague went on break to speak with him. I checked by the coffee machines to see if they had any packets of hot cocoa. No such luck. I grabbed a paper cup of water from the water cooler in the corner and went over my notes at one of the nearby tables. Do-re-mi. Yep, they seemed to be pretty good. Finally, my former partner came in after a couple of hours. He looked exhausted from the ensuing chaos that was going on out front. He grabbed a cup of coffee and sat at the table opposite me. He said that the ensuing chaos began at 8 o'clock that morning, people coming in to report disappearances or thefts of their favorite teddy bears. Men, women, children, old, young, rich to poor were all coming in to report the same thing. Now I felt like a heel for not believing that young dame. I asked if there had been any reports from anyone about other stolen or lost toys. My former partner said that all reports were for stolen stuffed bears. He also said that calls had come in from various department stores and toy stores from all over town that were reporting thefts of bears. After taking down what information my former colleague could spare, I decided I would make the rounds around town for further questions and information. My first stop was a shop called CB Bike's department store. I talked with the couple that owned and operated the store. They said that they had noticed their entire stock of bears were gone a couple of days ago when they opened first thing in the morning. I asked if any of their working staff or security had seen any suspicious activity the night before. Both said no. I asked if there was anything else that seemed a bit suspicious. They looked at each other and shrugged, then proceeded to tell me that one of their employees, one Mr. Aelf, had called in sick a week ago, but they haven't heard from him since. I thanked both of them for their time and headed to my next destination. My next stop brought me to Rara's Toy World that was a few blocks away from CB Bikes. I questioned the proprietor. She told me that not only had her entire stock of plush bears had been lifted, but that all of the ones for the store's annual holiday display had been taken from the store window. I asked if any of the windows had been cut or smashed, or if any of the doors had been damaged or picked. She replied that none of the doors or windows had been damaged or tampered with, but she did tell of a former worker who had called in sick a few days ago but hasn't been heard from since, just like the owners of CB's had reported. Every store I stopped in after that all said the same thing. All stock of teddy bears have been stolen, no break-ins, and an employee who called in sick and never showed back up to work. One conclusion I came to was that there were a lot of people who weren't going to be paid for missing work. I finally made my way to the last place on my list of inquiries, a place called Nolene's Things. I had chatted with the owner and she told me how her store was preparing to sell a special teddy bear for the holidays that they have custom made by one of the local factories each year. That when the shipment had arrived, all of the boxes were empty. I asked if the staff could have opened and taken them, but she said it was impossible because her and the floor manager were there in person when the boxes had come off the truck and when they were opened after being checked in. Before I left, I asked her for the name and address of the manufacturer that she ordered the bears from. After I had received the information I needed, I thanked her for her time and headed back to the office.
Tune in next time for another exciting episode of the classified case files of Theodore D. Bear.